quite a lot of fruity things in the past as well. Look, I don't recognise that characterisation. I'm very proud of the election success that Labour had recently. We won votes across all different communities across the whole. Donald Trump is killing, thousands of Americans by giving them duff advice and his macho, I'm all right.
Angela Rayner didn't hold back when she called Donald Trump macho and used some pretty harsh words about him in an old interview. It's not something Trump takes lightly. You see, Donald Trump has built his career on being bold and unapologetic, so when he heard Rayner's comments, you can bet he wasn't going to just let it slide for Trump. Insults like these are more than just words. They're an invitation to strike back, and that's exactly what he did.
And he should be ashamed of himself.
Buffoon, ashamed of himself's embarrassment. I think that woman needs to look in a blimmin' mirror. Maybe Lord Ali can afford to buy her one.
This wasn't just a minor exchange. It was a powder keg waiting to explode. With every word, Trump poured gasoline on an already volatile relationship with the UK Labour Party. But this time, the retaliation didn't stop at words. The stakes skyrocketed. Tariffs, economic pressure, and political maneuvering began to take shape, each move pushing the boundaries of what was once a tense standoff. And that's when the real storm hits. These weren't just insults, they were triggers, setting off a devastating chain reaction that could cost the UK dearly. Now, the Labour Party finds itself facing a crisis far bigger than just political tension. It's a battle on multiple fronts, and the consequences could be catastrophic.
We'll be doing tariffs on pharmaceuticals in order to bring our pharmaceutical industry back. We don't make anything here in terms of drugs, medical drugs, different types of drugs that you need, medicines. It's in other countries, largely made in China, a lot of it made in Ireland. Ireland was very smart. We love Ireland. But we're going to have that.
After Angela Rayner's comments about Donald Trump, the fallout didn't stop at insults. Trump retaliated by using his power to hit the UK with trade tariffs. He specifically targeted key industries like steel and aluminum, two sectors that are crucial to the UK's economy. The result, UK businesses and workers found themselves paying the price. The tariffs raised the cost of goods, which made life harder for many, especially in the manufacturing sector.
Would Ashland Lyons Angela Rayner make a good Prime Minister?
I don't think me predicting who the next leader of the Labour Party should be is a good idea. But in terms of your challenge, do we need a female leader of the Labour Party? You bet we do. And, I hope that happens. But in the meantime, I intend to act on the mandate that we got in the last election and deliver the change that people want across the country. And it is fantastic to have Angela Rayner by my side as my Deputy Prime Minister as we go through this together.
Trump wasn't just throwing around empty threats. He made it clear that there were consequences for anyone who crossed him. The economic damage was real. The UK government now faced a tough choice. Do they try to patch things up with Trump or risk further damage to their economy? The stakes were high, and this wasn't just about a political squabble. It was about the livelihood of many British citizens who felt the pain of Trump's trade war.
Absolute buffoon. He has no place in the White House. He's an embarrassment, and he should be ashamed of himself, especially when thousands of Americans have died.
I guess all that campaigning for commie Arthur did not pay off, did it? Labour are biting their words now. So Angela, how are you going to deal with this one?
Keir Starmer's actions towards Donald Trump paint a picture of political gamesmanship that didn't sit well with many when Starmer visited the White House. Before Trump left office, he tried to present himself as a supporter, even praising Trump's stance on free speech. But behind the scenes, things were far from friendly. While publicly flattering, Trump, Starmer, and his Labour Party were privately critical of him, making their position seem insincere.
Looking at what's going on in Britain, whether it's talking about the clampdown on free speech, Elon Musk has gone to town on that one. Joe Rogan, the biggest podcast that you could listen to in the world, has been really making a big noise about what he sees as authoritarian rule in the UK. Add to that these extremely sort of toxic, irresponsible, reckless and unprofessional comments. I don't care whether it's coming from someone on the opposition benches and what position they held or didn't hold. It's just not becoming of an elected member.
Angela Rayner's comments didn't stay hidden, and now Trump sees the full scope of Labor's double dealing. Mixed messages from Starmer and his team only deepened the mistrust between the UK and the US. For Trump, this is more than politics. It's proof that playing both sides always backfires. The UK is now stuck, tangled in contradictions that could cost them dearly. Starmer's praise for Trump's stance on free speech? It was all talk. Back in the UK, he and Labour turned their backs on those very principles, continuing to oppose Trump's policies. The hypocrisy is impossible to ignore, and the consequences are looming.
We've all taken a 2.8% pay rise as agreed by the MP's pay review body.
The pay review body is independent.
Hang on a second, is that particularly working class? All those things taken together? Is that working class?
All those things taken together, Tom, I've just explained to you, the winter fuel allowance people are over £400 better off because we protected the triple lock, we protected the most vulnerable. I've just explained to you the welfare and the principles and the values that we will protect those that need it and make sure that they get the support, and we've got to make sure that people can get into work. And in terms of the pay rise, MPs do not have any control over that. That is completely independent of government, and that was brought in some years ago, and that is the rules on that. That is not nothing within our control on that.
You could give it back though, couldn't you? At a time of cuts, people see the Chancellor, the Deputy Prime Minister getting paid.
Administratively, trying to give it back is more of a nightmare.
Starmer's sincerity is now in question. It's one thing to talk the talk in front of the cameras, but another to walk the walk. Labor's mixed signals didn't just strain their relationship with Trump, they've alienated their own supporters. Voters who believed in Labor's commitment to free speech and honesty are now left doubting Starmer's leadership. Caught between political expediency and the need to stay true to his words, Starmer has left the UK with a tarnished image. Labor's attempt to play both sides of the Trump issue has blown up in their face. They've tried to criticize Trump while also bending over backwards to maintain ties. The result? A messy, inconsistent narrative that Trump sees right through. For him, this kind of double dealing doesn't cut it, and it's only made the UK's political position look weak and uncertain.
There have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British, of course what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
The fallout is far more than a diplomatic nightmare. It's costing Labour the trust of its supporters. Voters who crave honesty and clarity are growing disillusioned by Starmer and Rayner's mixed signals. The party's credibility is slipping as they seem more concerned with political correctness than standing firm on their beliefs. This lack of clarity is pushing potential voters away, further weakening Labour's position. Trump, on the other hand, has always valued loyalty and transparency. Where most politicians shy away from confrontation, he thrives in it, especially when he feels betrayed. Angela Rayner's harsh comments only fueled Trump's belief that Labour had been dishonest. For him, if you're not loyal, you're a target.
Campaigning as a member of the Labour Party, it is very short-sighted to make these kind of comments about a major world leader if you're going to have to end up working with them. Now, I think that, as you say, Donald Trump obviously is someone who's someone who can move on, who can be a bit transactional, and so there's hope there. But I think it's interesting what it means for other people around him in his team, particularly when it comes to some of those intelligence and sensitive matters, because obviously with the defence apparatus between the two countries, the US and the UK, is so well interconnected.
Trump's response goes beyond words. It's about wielding economic and political power to get what he wants. He won't back down unless the UK shows more transparency and loyalty. If Labour keeps playing both sides, Trump will keep retaliating, and the UK risks more tariffs, trade restrictions, and diplomatic isolation. For Trump, it's simple. Be upfront and loyal, or face the consequences. The fallout from the Trump-Rayner clash isn't just personal, it's reshaping the entire US-UK relationship. Trump's retaliatory tariffs prove how personal grievances can turn into major political and economic consequences. The UK now faces a tough reality. Their handling of Trump's criticisms could jeopardize crucial trade deals and diplomatic negotiations.
We wanted to have a little bit of what the European nations said. You know, they get their money back by giving money. We don't get the money back. Biden made a deal. He put in $350 billion. And I thought it was a very unfair situation.
We're not getting all of ours. I mean, quite a bit of ours was gifted. It was given. There were some lends, but mainly it was gifted.
Here's the thing for you, Keir. Our taxpayers' money should not be gifted out to anybody. He just openly admitted it was gifted. We're not going to get anything back from it. We're not going to gain anything from it. Just gifted. Make sure you all do the overtime at the weekend, people, because we need to gift more.
The bigger concern is that the UK risks becoming a pawn in the middle of US domestic politics. Labour's mixed approach to Trump has left the UK vulnerable, as it's unclear whether the UK can rely on consistent support from the US. As Trump continues to play hardball, the UK may struggle to strike favourable deals, especially when Labour's actions have sent mixed signals. The US-UK alliance could be at a crossroads, and how the UK handles this fallout will determine its future standing on the global stage.
This actually gives a very strong arm to Nigel Farage, doesn't it? Because we know that he does indeed have Keir Starmer's ear, doesn't have it, might do, you never know, does have Donald Trump's ear. And my understanding as well is there might have been a little bit of encouragement by Nigel Farage to say to Donald Trump, hey, have a look at this Chagos Island stuff, and guess what? He's looking at it. So this is going to create a bit of a headache for the Labour Party, because they're probably going to have to go and cozy up to Nigel Farage a little bit if they want to have an interlocutor who could be quite effective in that position.
Back in May, there was reports actually that Nigel Farage had been very important in facilitating that conversation between David Lammy, then the Shadow Foreign Secretary, and JD Vance, and getting those meetings over the line. And I asked Nigel about this, and he sort of just grinned and didn't downplay it, shall we say. So
Keir Starmer's handling of the Trump issue has cast serious doubts on his leadership. His inability to take a clear, consistent stance on international diplomacy has opened him up to criticism, not just from political opponents, but within his own party. After Rayner's comments, Starmer's mixed signals have left Labour looking weak and uncertain on the global stage. Internally, frustration is growing. Some Labour members feel Starmer's approach to Trump has undermined the party's credibility. Instead of standing firm, he's been accused of shifting positions to avoid conflict, making the party seem indecisive. These tensions could have long-term consequences, with growing questions about whether Starmer is the right leader to navigate the UK's complex political challenges, both at home and abroad. The cracks in Labour's leadership are becoming impossible to ignore. The world is watching, and the UK's relationship with Trump is under scrutiny. As Labour's stance raises eyebrows, longtime allies of the UK may start questioning if they can trust Labour to be a reliable partner, making future trade deals and diplomatic agreements a lot less certain.
I really don't care what a guy in America has to say about Britain.
You've said, and the Prime Minister said, that he's crossed a line. Therefore, why don't you do something about the fact that he's crossed that line and prosecute him, use the existing laws on hate speech?
Well, I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not qualified to judge whether he's broken the law or not. And to be honest, I've spent most of my time in recent days thinking about, and by the way, I'll be spending all of my time in the coming weeks and days thinking about how I can turn the NHS around to build a social care system fit for the future.
But would you like that to be looked at?
I'll be spending precisely zero time thinking about what Elon Musk thinks about this or anything else. I really don't care what a guy in America has to say about Britain. What I care about is what we, the British government, can deliver for the British people, and that's what we're focused on.
Except he's not just a guy in America, is he? He is going to be in Donald Trump's cabinet. Donald Trump should be, the Prime Minister has talked about.
This situation also puts the UK at risk of political isolation as the UK continues to work out the complexities of post-Brexit trade negotiations. Labour's inconsistent approach to Trump could be seen as a sign of weakness with the US-UK relationship in a precarious position. The UK could find itself facing a tough road ahead, trying to maintain strong international alliances while managing the fallout from this diplomatic mess. The uncertainty surrounding the UK's political direction could create more challenges on the global stage.
I don't like the changes that we've made. I say the door is open and you can leave.
The fallout from Angela Rayner's comments and Donald Trump's retaliation has shown just how fragile the UK's political landscape can be. Labour's mixed messaging on Trump, along with Starmer's inconsistent leadership, has left the UK vulnerable to global scrutiny. With trade deals and international alliances at stake, it's clear that the UK must take a more transparent and consistent approach. The question remains, can Labour recover from this, or is the damage already done? If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe to our channel. You can watch more videos from us here.